This is the Vince Salerno Podcast, Valentine's Day special. On today's episode, we got our top 5 of the week with Beauty and the Beast, World War Z, Jack Nicholson, and much more. And we're also going to be talking about my favorite Valentine's Day movies and even some of yours, so hopefully we'll have the same list. Otherwise, sit back, relax, and snuggle up with your significant other because the Vince Salerno Podcast starts right now. Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the Vince Salerno Podcast Valentine's Day special on this Tuesday, February 14th, 2017. I'm your host, Vince Salerno, and happy Valentine's Day. Of course, it's the day of love, the season of love, as they call it. Or for people like me, it's National Single Awareness Day. Yes. Regardless of whether you have a significant other or not, I hope you enjoy Valentine's Day and celebrate it accordingly. Now, I know I said I was going to have a special guest with me today, but unfortunately, scheduling fell through. A lot of delays on the show. We thought we could bump it back, record it, sooner or later. Just scheduling didn't work out, so unfortunately, no special guest today. But I'm probably going to have a special guest next week, so you guys can look forward to that. Otherwise, let's get right into it. We have our top 5, and our first story is kind of fitting for the Valentine's Day season. Number 1 is Beauty and the Beast. The new cover from Arianna Grande and John Legend was released by Disney about a week ago, I believe. And let's talk about it. I like it. I don't love it. I prefer the one we heard in the trailer. I thought that was absolutely phenomenal. I loved it. It was grand. It was romantic. It really captured the essence of Beauty and the Beast, while bringing the everything we know and love about that film into or translate it into a modern era. Not necessarily setting it in a modern era, because obviously it's still set in the same time period as the original, but in terms of translating that film, making it into a live-action, modern-day masterpiece, which I think it will be a masterpiece. I love that trailer song, is basically what I'm trying to say. And hearing this, I was very, very taken aback, because I was like, wait a minute, this isn't the one I heard. I thought we were going to get this other one. But it's not terrible. I'm not going to say it's terrible. I'm not a huge fan of John Legend or Ariana Grande, but, when they sing good, they sing good. I mean, who am I to say when someone doesn't have talent? And they definitely have talent, and they give this song their all, and they do a pretty decent job. It's got a very classical Disney romantic, almost like 90s Christmas feel to it, is how I describe it. But I prefer that grand, epic trailer song we heard. So hopefully they release that with the soundtrack either before or after the movie comes out. Hopefully this is not the only version of the song we get. I'm hoping. Otherwise we're going to get songs from Emma Watson. We're going to get songs from Dan Stevens, Celine Dion, Josh Groban, who I'm a big fan of. So a lot to look forward to in the soundtrack. But the song was okay. It's a good cover. It's not terrible. Just not what I was expecting from a Beauty and the Beast cover, based on what we got from the trailer. Still, over the moon excited for this movie, though. I cannot even tell you guys. Alright, number 2. Shifting gears a little bit out of the romance and into the horror. Paramount has taken World War Z 2 and Friday the 13th off their roster for release dates. This is a very interesting story. Let's start with World War Z. So the situation with World War Z 2 is David Fincher wants to direct this movie, which I talked about, I believe, almost a year ago. David Fincher wanted to direct World War Z 2, and it looks like he's really interested in doing it. Not only that, he wants to do it for half of the intended budget for this movie. And for some reason, Paramount is hesitant. Gut reaction, I'm thinking, what the heck, Paramount? This is David frickin' Fincher, one of the greatest working directors today, and he wants to direct your movie for almost half the budget that you're intending to make it on. Why would you not jump the gun, say yes to something like that? And he's working with someone he works well with, Brad Pitt. It's a match made in heaven. Like, this gets me really excited for World War Z 2. Why would you not say yes? But at the same time, I think maybe the studio has specific plans for this franchise, and maybe they don't want David Fincher to mess those plans up. So if they have a specific idea or a cool route they want to take the franchise in, I get it. Take your time. Don't jump the gun. But still, this is David frickin' Fincher directing World War Z 2. And World War Z wasn't a terrible movie, but I can already agree that David Fincher will hopefully make the sequel better than the original, just based on, it's David Fincher. So I understand not wanting to jump the gun. In fact, I think that's smart, but still, it's David Fincher. Being a huge fan, one of my favorite films of his is Gone Girl. I liked Seven. I still haven't seen Dragon Tattoo. I really want to see that. It just looks like a perfect scenario to be in. One that you wouldn't find yourself in with most big budget franchises. So hopefully Paramount and David Fincher can work out a deal, and hopefully this all can work out. But because I would love to see this pan out. This would be fantastic. On the other side of the story, Friday the 13th reboot, sequel, prequel thing, I think it's being called, it was called Friday the 13th Part 13, has been altogether just straight up canceled. And I'm not a huge fan of the horror genre. I'm not a huge fan of this particular franchise. But from what I've been hearing, this is a good thing, because I've heard things that, like, we're going to get to know Freddy's mom, or Freddy, Jason, I don't know who it is, but the dude with the hockey mask, sorry, we're going to get to know his mom and his dad and how he became the person he is. And from what I'm hearing from fans of that franchise, that, the thing that makes that franchise so great is that he is this mysterious figure, and that you don't know his origins or where he came from. He's just this, he's a specter in a way. And, I'm not going to act like I know everything there is to know about this franchise, but I'm going to agree that, yes, if that's what he's known for, take that route and go make make something within those lines for the Friday the 13th franchise. Or just don't make another movie. I mean, what's wrong with just, there's like 12, 14, 15 Friday the 13th movies? If you're not going to do something original or something new, if you're just going to keep going back to the same old, and just retread old ground, why make another one? So either they need to come up with something mind-bogglingly new and different for the franchise, or just let it rest. Give it a rest. Not every franchise needs, 500 million sequels, but, we live in an era of intellectual property, so Lord knows they'll find a way to make a good Friday the 13th movie, so we'll see. I think the same thing's happening for Halloween, except, that has, the original creator, John Carpenter, coming back. You got Danny McBride writing the script. John Carpenter might score it. It's going to be a sequel to the first two films. That looks like a really good scenario to be in, especially with the original creator, John Carpenter, of all people, coming back to make this movie. That's phenomenal. So if they approach it in that sense, the way they're doing Halloween, maybe there is still hope for this franchise, but we'll see. All right, moving on to topic number 3. Jack is back. My favorite actor, one of my favorite actors of all time, Jack Nicholson, is coming back. He is coming out of retirement after 7 years to star in a remake of the movie Toni Erdmann, which is a movie about a over-eccentric dad who tries to be his daughter's life coach or something. It sounds like a weird idea, but it looks like something Jack Nicholson could play. I'm super excited about this. Regardless of what the movie is, I'm just glad that Jack Nicholson is coming out of retirement, because he really is like one of the greatest actors of all time, I think. and I've heard rumors that either he's retired or that he's suffering from like memory loss, and that is affecting him coming back to acting. I believe some celebrity came out and said that he was officially retired. Now we get this story that he's officially come out of retirement and he's going to make his first film in 7 years. Some of my favorites of Jack Nicholson's include like The Shining, Anger Management, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Chinatown. You can't forget Chinatown. But seriously, like one of my favorite memories of Jack Nicholson is my brother and I. We both love Anger Management, and he has this hysterical first scene where he is just like doing this obnoxious laugh right next to Adam Sandler, and it's just I want to see if I can do a good impression of it. Let me see. Yeah, that's about as best I can do. That's the best impression I got. It might be terrible. I might be embarrassing myself putting this online, but who cares? So, yeah, this is super incredibly exciting. I cannot wait to see Jack Nicholson back on screen. Hopefully this is just one of many new film projects he will take on. At the, I believe he's 80 years old, so he's obviously getting up there. But if he still wants to act, then heck, give him something to do. This is awesome. Okay, plowing right along into number 4. Marvel has released a production video of Avengers Infinity War, stating that they are officially in production, and they kick off filming with some pretty earth-shattering reveals. First, we get footage of Chris Pratt as Star-Lord, Tom Holland as Spider-Man, and Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man on the set of Infinity War. And they're talking about how exciting it is and how, 10 years ago they started this franchise and now it's the culmination of everything happening, thus confirming that Guardians of the Galaxy and the Avengers will team up in this movie. We even get some concept art of Rocket Raccoon and Thor with a somewhat new-looking hammer fighting alongside one another. Just super incredibly exciting. We get some new looks at Thanos. We get Kevin Feige talking about, building up to this moment. This is going to be the biggest Marvel movie they've ever done. The Russo brothers talked about how Thanos, the movie will explain why Thanos is the biggest, baddest MCU villain of all time. Just so many exciting things. I remember watching Robert Downey Jr.'s live Facebook feed. He was on set. That was the first thing I saw, and the directors came on and talked about stuff. They tried to keep it a secret throughout the entire thing that Spider-Man was going to be in the movie, and that because he's like, oh well, I got my awesome camera guy behind me doing all this, giving me the questions from Facebook. It's like that sounds a lot like Tom Holland. And then, you flip the camera, then it's obviously Tom Holland. And then Chris Pratt comes in as Star-Lord later on. This made my night. I cannot believe this is actually happening. We're getting so close to this movie. It's going to be incredibly epic, and it really is going to be the culmination of everything that's happened in the MCU, starting with Iron Man. I mean, this movie's going to come out 2018, and that is almost exactly 10 years since the birth of the MCU. And that's really, really exciting when you think about it. I can remember seeing Iron Man for the first time, not even fathoming what this would all turn into, and to see this all come together in this big, epic showdown is going to be, it's going to be one of the best things ever. Hopefully, I'm sure the numbers on this movie are going to be earth-shattering. But I'm looking forward to seeing all the character interactions, Guardians, Spider-Man, Avengers, Doctor Strange, all that stuff, Thanos, good guys, bad guys, all of it. Bring it on. Can't wait to see more. All right, now on to topic number 5, the last topic. Finally, some good news from the DCEU. Looks like they got their wish. Matt Reeves, director of the Planet of the Apes films and Cloverfield, will direct The Batman for Ben Affleck and Warner Brothers. This was their top pick on the directors list that they were looking for people to direct the Batman after Ben Affleck dropped out, and they got their pick, and that's awesome. And I haven't seen a lot of Matt Reeves films, so I won't act like I'm an expert on Matt Reeves, but I've seen enough and I've heard enough to know that he is a fantastic director. And I think he may not have been like the best choice or my choice for directing Batman, but I mean, he is definitely a good choice. I think he definitely knows how to handle dark and sometimes scary. So I think he will be able to bring something new and fresh to the Batman franchise, and hopefully this will spark more Batman sequels after this film with Ben Affleck as the starring role. This is just super incredibly exciting. I have no idea what he'll do with the franchise, but just the fact that they got their number one pick, and they didn't have to go find some nobody, or they didn't have to get someone super prestigious. The fact that they got their first pick is super exciting for them. So I'm super happy for Warner Brothers, for Ben Affleck. Hopefully this is a good sign for the DCEU. Hopefully the fact that I'm hearing rumors that either the script is starting from scratch or that it's finished and they're happy with it. Hopefully this is all DC and Warner Brothers trying to slightly hit the reset button before all these films get released and, continue their course correction of this franchise. One way they can also do that is stopping that stupid Gotham City Sirens movie. Cancel that right now. Just right now. Stop it. Don't do it. Please. Thank you. You're welcome. Alright, so that was our top 5. Beauty and the Beast, Ariana Grande and John Legend cover. World War Z 2 and Friday the 13th bumped from Paramount's schedule. Jack Nicholson is coming back. Avengers Infinity War production video released. And Matt Reeves confirmed as the director of The Batman. Okay, on to our topic of the week, discussing Valentine's Day. Last time I did a holiday special, I did it with Corny Campbell, and we talked about our favorite Halloween movies. So I think it's appropriate that for all the holiday specials, we just talk about our favorite Valentine's Day movies or Christmas movies or, whatever other holiday is coming up. So it's Valentine's Day, so we're going to talk about Valentine's Day movies. I compiled a fairly large list of romantic movies that I like. I grew up with 2 sisters, and 95% of the time when we're all together as a family, we're watching romantic comedies because sometimes you gotta let the girls decide. So I ended up liking some of them, and I think that sort of translates into my work today. Like I've been working on this romantic comedy with J.J. Schindler and Shelby Turner for some time now, which is going to get completed hopefully next quarter. But some of them are good. It's refreshing sometimes just enjoy a nice, simple love story. But I like my love stories to have a bit of a twist. I don't like them to be super basic or just like, oh, I've seen that before. So here's a couple, I'm just going to list some off and talk about them briefly that really stand out to me. The first I have on my list is 13 Going on 30, starring Jennifer Gardner and Mark Ruffalo. This is a pretty charming and funny movie about a girl growing up in the 80s who wants to be 30, and she's just like super desperate to grow up so fast and get on with her life. And then some miraculous faith, trust, pixie dust scenario turns her into a 30-year-old woman, and it's like modern day. And she's like she's like working for this fashion line, and her friend, her best friend growing up is a guy, and it's Mark Ruffalo, and he's in a relationship, and they end up falling in love. It's just a very, very different type of romantic comedy, and it still gets some chuckles out of me sometimes. But yeah, it's a good one. I actually haven't seen it in a while. I was hoping to get to watch some of these for recording this episode, but I couldn't find them all on Netflix or Amazon, or I don't have any of them on DVD with me. They're all back in Nebraska. But I remember that one being a good one. I believe Andy Serkis was in that movie. Either Andy Serkis or Eddie Izzard, or frick, I'm forgetting his name. Tim Curry. I don't remember who it was that was playing the CEO of this business, but I'm pretty sure it was Andy Serkis. So, you get to see the early days of Andy Serkis. He does a great job in that movie, if that's even him. Sorry if I'm forgetting. Another one that sticks out is Valentine's, the actual movie Valentine's Day. I believe that was directed by Rob Marshall, and it's a huge ensemble cast of Julia Roberts, Bradley Cooper, Emma Roberts, Taylor Swift, Taylor Lautner. Who else was in that movie? I'm trying to even remember what was the main plot of that movie. I mean, it was just a bunch of interweaving romance, love stories all happening on Valentine's Day. I think Anne Hathaway was in that movie. Topher Grace, I think, was in that movie. What else? Gosh, I feel like I should know this, but again, I couldn't find this movie, so I couldn't watch it to recap who else is in this movie. But it's just a huge cast, and it's just all these situations playing out on Valentine's Day. And, it's not a perfect movie, but it's a fun one. I like watching it. Sometimes you just gotta accept the fact that some movies are just not meant to be, these earth-shattering, Oscar-winning films. Not to say that they shouldn't try to be good, but for what it is, it's a fun, cute little movie about Valentine's Day, and I think it's just the perfect film to watch on Valentine's Day. So there's that. Moving on to some more classic films, Roman Holiday, starring my favorite Audrey Hepburn, about a princess who escapes the life of luxury for a day to live life on the town, sort of experience the world as it is. She ends up falling in love with a reporter who is guiding her journey throughout the discovering the world, and it's super tragic. The end, it just gets you because she has to go back to royalty and stuff. She can't be with this person she loves, and they both have to accept that, and it's a super bittersweet ending. But sometimes that's life. It kind of rings true, I guess. It's a forbidden love story, which is beautiful and tragic and very real. So I really enjoy that one. Another one is West Side Story. Might as well just say Romeo and Juliet, but specifically West Side Story, because I love, this is one of my favorite movies of all time. I was able to be in the show coincidentally right after I watched the movie for the first time. The audition opened up and I was like, oh my gosh, I am getting on this thing right now. I don't care who you are. I need to get in this play. So I did it, loved it even more. And yeah, it's one of the best Romeo and Juliet adaptations I've ever seen. The musical numbers are phenomenal. Acting is great. Natalie Wood is just perfect. Yeah, there's just nothing to hate about this movie. It's just a beautiful, romantic, and just totally encapsulating movie. It really just sucks you into the story, and obviously, if you know how Romeo and Juliet ends, you know how this movie ends. Just a really beautiful movie, and I love it. Moving right along down the list. Oh yeah, ETA, starring Emma Stone. I think that was her first big movie. I believe it's a modern retelling of The Scarlet Letter, right? Yeah, I think so. Let me Google this while I'm talking about it. Anyways, it was Emma Stone, and she sort of plays this girl who's trying to spice things up in her life. Sort of gives off the impression that she's seeing a bunch of guys, and it's a little risque, but I mean, it's just super funny. I can't help but laugh at it. Just Emma Stone really stole that movie. If you cast anybody else in that movie, it doesn't work. It's a great movie because of her. Who else was in this movie? Amanda Bynes. I think that was one of her last films. Amanda Bynes, Thomas Hayden Church, Lisa Kudrow, Patricia Clarkson, Stanley Tucci. Trying to remember who else that I actually care about in this movie. That's it. Yeah. Just a really, really funny movie. Let's see. Oh, yeah, it was a Scarlet Letter. It's a modern retelling of the Scarlet Letter. Yeah, it's a great one. And like I said, without Emma Stone, that movie does not have the impact it does. Moving on to, again, Beauty and the Beast. Tale as old as time. How can you forget that? One of the greatest love stories of all time. It doesn't really scream Valentine's Day, but I mean, I'm just categorizing like all different love stories that I enjoy watching. And Beauty and the Beast is really is a timeless tale, proving that you can love somebody because of what's inside, not necessarily what's outside. And I think that's a beautiful message to spread throughout the world. And I think, like I said, that message never it becomes irrelevant. And I think if more people remember that, if more people remember that message, they can learn to love others a little more. Not only are the musical numbers fantastic, the animation is stunning. I'm still in awe about how they did some of the animation in that movie. It's just an all around fantastic. It's completely obvious why this film is one of only 3 animated films to be nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars. It's completely obvious. I'm going to stop because I could go on a rant about this movie for like days. Okay, Punch Drunk Love, starring Adam Sandler. Very artistic, very somewhat obscure, out there romantic comedy. Kind of dark. I want to say it's a kind of a dark romantic comedy in a way, but super stylistic. I'm trying to remember who directed that. It's on the tip of my tongue. Paul Thomas Anderson. And he's got a very distinct look. He always tries to do very distinct looking films. Adam Sandler, Emily Watson, Philip Seymour Hoffman, God rest his soul. It's been I think I saw that film like 2 years ago. That's the last time I saw it. But yeah, super beautiful film. P.T. Anderson, who has done a lot of really interesting films. One of my favorites of his is Inherent Vice, which is a 70s detective comedy drama. Somewhat similar to films I want to make in the near future. I love the 70s era, so we're getting off topic though. Let's see, Punch Drunk Love. My Big Fat Greek Wedding. That's fun because I grew up with a big Italian family, so I know what it's like to always, have family peering over your shoulder. And, sort of being engulfed in your life. So I find that film to be very relatable. Not in an extreme way because I'm not married and I'm not planning on getting married anytime soon. But yeah, it's funny. It's another funny one. What I've watched recently, actually I was just watching before I started recording the show, was Kate and Leopold. I actually haven't finished it yet, but I talked about earlier on the show how much I love romantic comedies that are distinct and different and stand out from others. And Kate and Leopold is definitely one of them. It stars Meg Ryan and Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman plays this Duke who is from the 18th century or 19th century or whatever, or 17th century. He gets transported into modern day and ends up falling in love with Meg Ryan's character. It also has Liev Schreiber, Breckin Meyer, Natasha Lyonne, Liev Schreiber before he became Sabretooth. I find that hilarious that those two were in a film together. It is, of course, directed by James Mangold, who was responsible for the last 2 Wolverine movies, 3:10 to Yuma, some of which are my favorite films of all time. And this, I mean, I'm loving this movie so far. So once I finish it, I'll have a definite answer whether this is like one of my favorite romantic comedies of all time or not. But it's distinct, it's different, it's funny, it's charming, it's clever. I really enjoy it. So it's probably gonna. I'm already gonna call it one of my favorite romantic comedies. Let's just call it right now. Let's see what else do I have on the list. Okay, these are some movies I was supposed to watch. I saw remember seeing a long time ago like a 70s or 80s version of Romeo and Juliet. I haven't seen that in a long time, so I can't really talk about it. But I remember that being a very true and accurate depiction of the story of Romeo and Juliet. Speaking of that, I did watch the movie Shakespeare in Love over the weekend. Really enjoyed that, except for the nudity, because I just don't like nudity in my films. But it was so, another film that's just so clever and so funny, and yet at the same time very romantic, and kind of like a fictional version of the making of Shakespeare of Romeo and Juliet. Just super clever, super charming, super funny. The performances of Joseph Fiennes is such an underrated actor. It aggravates me that he's not in more movies, or that he doesn't get casted in more roles. He is so good. And Gwyneth Paltrow, who I'm not necessarily a big fan of today, but she does a great job too. And Jeffrey Rush, and of all people, Ben Affleck. I didn't even know that Ben Affleck was going to be in this movie. He pops up near the middle, and I'm like, oh, it's Ben Affleck. That was a lot of fun to see him in that movie. And once again, kind of another forbidden love story, but then technically not, because you see her walking off into the distance. Spoilers from her shipwreck, so you assume she's going to walk straight back to Shakespeare, and they're going to be together again. So kind of a happy ending, kind of not. We'll see. I mean, actually, who knows? I've heard talks of a sequel, so maybe we'll get a sequel to Shakespeare in Love. That would be awesome. Okay, yeah. Let me talk about two more films. Yeah, 2 more films. So, how can we not talk about The Princess Bride? Another one of the most clever, funny, charming, and romantic love stories set in medieval times. About a farm boy who has to rescue his true love from many great dangers and goes through many trials and tribulations to save his true love, Buttercup. The cast is phenomenal. Yeah, I mean, anybody who doesn't like this movie, you better have a valid reason for not liking this movie, because it's just so clever. Like, all these films I'm talking about are just films that really stick out to me, of being very clever films that really turn the genre on its head. And I think this is definitely like one of them, like in the top 10 of best and obscure and different romantic comedies. The last one I'm going to talk about is Return to Me, and I feel so bad because I haven't watched any of these movies in a long time, but Return to Me is one that I've watched at least 3 times in my life, and I really enjoy it. It's about this girl who, Minnie Driver, I believe. Yeah, David Duchovny, whatever his name is, his wife, is killed in a car accident. Her heart is transplanted to Minnie Driver's character, who has a heart disease, and they meet like 14 years after her death, and he doesn't know that she has her heart, and then when he finds out, he tries to cope with it. It's very charming, very clever, romantic comedy. Once again, like kind of one of those. It's just super clever that, you know, the heart of his former love is in the girl he's currently dating in this movie, Minnie Driver. I really need to see this movie again because I'm drawing a blank on almost everything about it. But I just remember it being a really nice, funny, charming, clever movie. Okay, I'm going to stop now. So yeah, those are just some of the few romantic comedies that I really enjoy. Like I said, I like romantic comedies that are distinct and they're different. They have kind of a twist on them that doesn't fall under the category of generic love story. And some of these movies are the ones that I like. Hopefully you like them too. If you like other films that I haven't mentioned that are romantic comedies or just romance films in general, feel free to comment below and let me know what you guys think. There are plenty of romantic films out there that that we all know and love. I'm sure I'm blanking on a bunch of them. I haven't even mentioned any of the romantic comedies that Matthew McConaughey was in before the McConaissance. So yeah, if you're having trouble figuring out what to do on Valentine's Day, maybe take your girl or guy out to dinner and then go see one of these movies. 13 Going on 30, or Valentine's Day, or Roman Holiday, or West Side Story, or Easy A, or Beauty and the Beast, or Punch Drunk Love, or My Big Fat Greek Wedding, or Kate and Leopold, or Romeo and Juliet, or The Princess Bride, or Return to Me, or something else, Shakespeare in Love. Anyways, yeah, if you haven't gotten a gift for your significant other, you should probably get on that because it's Valentine's Day, and we shouldn't forget our significant others on Valentine's Day, of all days. You know, we should never forget our significant other, but never on Valentine's Day. So finish the episode, go buy your significant other something, make their day, make them feel special, make them feel loved, and hoping you all have a fantastic Valentine's Day. I'm going to sit by myself or with friends, and we're going to watch romantic comedies and talk about how single life rocks. Happy Single Awareness Day. All right, well, that's all I got for you guys. Thanks for watching this episode of the Vince Salerno Podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button and subscribe to my YouTube channel where you can check out my short films, trailer reactions, and more episodes of the Vince Salerno Podcast. Next week, I am hoping to have Christian Lovetier on the show to talk about the movie Secret of the Kells. We've been talking about it for a while, and I think that merits a conversation. Very interesting backstory behind that movie. So he's going to come in, we're going to talk about that. And I'm thinking that episode would actually be the last one I do for February. I got finals coming up, I got papers, I got movies to shoot. I don't have a lot of time to do more episodes of the Vince Salerno Podcast, much as I want to. So I'm going to take another little break for the next 2 weeks after next week's episode, or this coming week's episode, I guess. It'll be released on Friday. So after that, taking a break. Once I get back in Nebraska come March, I will be doing more episodes of the Vince Salerno Podcast. Hopefully, my friend Rose Dayton will be back in town so we can do an episode then. I've been talking about getting her on the show for a while. She did a Rogue One review with me back in December, I believe. Or was it January? I don't remember. So anyways, expect all that and more coming from the Vince Salerno Podcast. Be on the lookout for some new short films coming out, including a Tarantino tribute and kind of a Key and Peele-ish one, what I did with Christopher McCarthy and Michael Maggio, Jake Callahan, Nicholas Pape, some great guys. We had a lot of fun doing this short film. I can't wait to show you guys. All right, everybody, thank you all for watching. Have an awesome day. Happy Valentine's Day. God bless, and peace out.